Welcome, hackers. Today we are going to take a look at how the new weapon masteries interact with the weapon-based spells Green Flame Blade and Booming Blade. Which weapon masteries will work well with these spells, which weapon masteries function normally, and which ones just don't work well at all. As usual, I'm probably missing some combos or overstating others, so please let me know in the comments any mistakes that I make so that the community as a whole is aware. Let's take a look at Green Flame Blade. It uses your action to cast and says you brandish the weapon used in the spell's casting and make a melee attack with it against one creature within 5 feet of you. On a hit, the target suffers the weapon attack's normal effects, and you can cause green flame to leap from the target to a different creature of your choice that you can see within 5 feet of it. The second creature takes fire damage equal to your spellcasting ability modifier. This spell's damage increases when you reach certain levels. At 5th level, the melee attack deals an extra 1d8 fire damage to the target on a hit, and the fire damage to the second creature increases to 1d8 plus your spellcasting ability modifier. Both damage rolls increase by 1d8 at level 11 and level 17. Most of the weapon masteries have no special synergy with this spell. Graze will still do damage on a miss. Sap will give a creature disadvantage on its next attack. Slow will reduce a creature's move speed. Topple will knock the target prone. And Vex will give you advantage on your next attack. Nick is a bit of a problem. A lot of people think this is one of the best weapon masteries, and it is usually an excellent choice. But it has a strange interaction with these spells. It states, when you make the extra attack of the light property, you can make it as part of your attack action instead of as a bonus action. You can make this extra attack only once per turn. The catch here is that you aren't using your attack action. You are casting a spell. Because of this, you wouldn't trigger the nick property of the weapon when casting Green Flame Blade. So that leaves us with two properties, Cleave and Push. Cleave states, if you hit a creature with a melee attack roll using this weapon, you can make a melee attack roll with the weapon against a second creature within 5 feet of the first that is also within your reach. On a hit, the second creature takes the weapon's damage, but don't add your ability modifier to the damage unless the modifier is negative. You can make this extra attack only once per turn. Imagine you're facing off against two opponents. With Cleave, you could make a normal attack against target 1 with a battle axe, doing 1d12 plus your strength bonus. Let's call it a +3, for an average damage of 9.5. Then you can cleave target 2 for just the weapon damage, an average of 6.5, doing a total of 16 damage. Using Green Flame Blade, without weapon mastery, would be the same 9.5 to the first target, but only 3, again we are assuming a +3 spellcasting ability modifier, for a total of 9.5. If we combine them, the first target still takes 9.5, but the second target now takes both the 3 fire damage from the spell and the 6.5 from the cleave attack, meaning they both take 9.5 points, or 19 points of average damage total. That's a 3-point boost. Not a ton, but a little better. But what happens when the player is higher level? Cleave at level 11 would do the same 9.5 to the first target and 6.5 to the second. Green Flame Blade jumps up a bit, as the first player would take the normal 9.5, but also an additional 2d8 fire damage, raising the average to 18.5. And the secondary target would take 2d8 plus the spellcasting modifier for an average of 12 damage. This brings the total from Green Flame Blade up to 30.5. That is a much bigger boost, but not as good as using both. The first target still gets 18.5 from the Green Flame Blade attack, but now the second target also gets the 12 damage from Green Flame Blade and the additional weapon attack of 6.5 for a total of 18.5 as well. That means 37 total damage on average. That was a lot of math, but the moral of the story is that you can do a lot of extra damage by combining Cleave with Green Flame Blade. Now there are a few drawbacks to this strategy. If you have multiple attacks per action, then you don't get to use those extra attacks. It is a cantrip though, so you can still cast bonus action spells. So smites are still in play if you're a paladin. It won't work well on a rogue, since there are no weapons with cleave that can be used with sneak attack. How about push? It reads, if you hit a creature with this weapon, you can push the creature up to 10 feet straight away from yourself if it is large or smaller. This doesn't seem like it would be a great combo. You move someone 10 feet, that's nice. But picture a battle where you are fighting one-on-one with an opponent and another enemy is only 10 feet behind him, like maybe a mage that's concentrating on a spell. The spell says, on a hit, the target suffers the weapon attack's normal effect, and you can cause green flame to leap to a target within 5 feet. So knock the melee combatant back 10 feet, and then you do the fire damage to the mage now that it's within 5 feet of the original target, doing damage for sure and possibly dropping their concentration. As long as you hit the first target, the second target's damage is guaranteed. No amount of shield or armor class or mirror image will be able to affect it.
Before we take a look at Booming Blade, please take a moment to like and subscribe to help our channel grow. We really appreciate it.
Now let's take a look at Booming Blade. It is also an action to cast and says you brandish the weapon used in the spell's casting and make a melee attack with it against one creature within 5 feet of you. On a hit, the target suffers the weapon attack's normal effect and then becomes sheathed in booming energy until the start of your next turn. If the target willingly moves 5 feet or more before then, the target takes 1d8 thunder damage and the spell ends. This spell's damage increases when you reach certain levels. At 5th level, the melee attack deals an extra 1d8 thunder damage to the target on a hit, and the damage the target takes for moving increases to 2d8. Both damage rolls increase by 1d8 at 11th level and again at 17th level. Again, most of the masteries have no special effect. This time, Cleave gives you the basic extra attack that you would get anyway. It is still a nice bit of bonus damage, but not as effective as it was with Green Flame Blade. Graze will still help you do damage on a miss. Sap still gives that creature disadvantage. Vex again gives you advantage on your next attack. Once again, you can't use Nick, as you are not using the attack action. Topple knocks them over, but the wording on standing up says that you spend movement to stand, not that you are actually moving, so the Booming Blade would not trigger. Slow lowers their total movement potential, and this is bad because it may even further discourage them from moving and taking that extra damage. And that leaves us with Push. Again, Push is a good weapon mastery to use with these spells. The Push mastery moves the opponent 10 feet away from you. Now they may not be adjacent to anyone and have to move to make an attack, assuming they don't have ranged, or at least not a good ranged option. Imagine a rogue using this spell, which I have imagined since I made a video about using this spell with rogues. You can see that in the link above. The rogue uses this spell to attack and still gets to add his sneak attack damage. At higher levels, he even gets to add a few d8s to the original hit. Without weapon masteries, the rogue would need to use their bonus action to disengage to move away from the target safely. If the target had a ranged attack, they could still attack the rogue. But now, the rogue hits with the attack, does all the same damage, but also pushes the target away. Now the rogue is free to move without needing to use the bonus action, so he still has it to use and can hide, forcing the bad guy to move to look for him and thus taking the extra movement damage from the spell. This is a really good combo that I wish I could have used with my Arcane Trickster that I've played in the past. That campaign is no longer going on, so I think I'm out of luck. Obviously, there are a lot of classes that will get a lot more use out of simply using their extra attack. But on classes that only get one attack, like the Rogue, I think these strategies would be a very viable option. I may have messed up some math, so let me know in the comments if I did. And I also might have messed up some of the combos or missed some entirely. So please let me know that as well. And give me your overall thoughts on the strategy. Now we can offer memberships on our channel. So if you find my content useful or interesting or entertaining, please consider joining the channel's membership. You can enjoy perks like these emojis in chat, as well as getting early access to my videos. But most importantly, keep on hacking the dungeon.